Euromaxx highlights Lifestyle Europe. Coming up in the show, Art Escort. Visitors to Berlin can hire an artist to show them around the German capital. Standing Stones. Sculptor Ulrich Rückriem creates monolithic art with a strong presence. Greens Gone By. The Dutch town of Limburg puts forgotten vegetable varieties back on the table. Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Karen Helmstedt.
Greetings from Berlin and welcome to our highlights of the week. And we start off in Gay Paris, where every fall the city's Petit Palais Museum invites a contemporary artist to show their work. Well, this year the honor goes to French fashion photographer Patrick Demarchelier, born in Le Havre in 1943. He's considered one of the best in the world, and he has immortalized countless famous faces. And Paris Fashion Week meant that a few of them were even there for the opening.
On Monday evening, the Parisian museum Le Petit Palais resembled a catwalk for stars from the fashion, film and music industries. France's rock legend Johnny Hallyday appeared with his wife and his daughter, actress Laura Smet. The guest list boasted such greats as musician Lenny Kravitz, film mogul Harvey Weinstein and actor Jean Reno. They were all there to honor one person, photographer Patrick Demarchelier. The actress and model Mila Jovovich was among the guests.
Patrick is such an icon, and I worked with him when I was like 11, so it's so amazing to sort of come full circle and see his work again as an adult.
British supermodel Naomi Campbell says working with the now 65-year-old photographer is something special.
I've grown up with Patrick since I was 16, and he's still a pleasure to work with. He's very real, fun, energetic and gracious.
Apart from Naomi, other supermodels have posed for the Frenchman, from Linda Evangelista to Nadia Auermann. But the name Patrick Demarchelier means more than just fashion photos. He photographed them all, they say. From the creators of fashion such as Valentino to international stars like Robert De Niro and Meg Ryan. Demarchelier's photos are above all spontaneous, light-hearted and timeless.
I like to bring out people's personalities. I want them to express themselves. That's why I put them into a particular situation, or bring them to a specific place where they feel comfortable. They're more expressive then.
He received his first camera as a gift from his stepfather when he was 17 years old. He worked for fashion magazines like Elle and Marie Claire in Paris before going to New York in 1975. There, he became a star in his own right. His fame was secured through his portraits of Princess Diana. After his first shoot with her at the end of the 1980s, she made him her personal photographer. Demarchelier was the first non-Brit to be allowed to do film portraits of an official member of the royal family.
Before I photographed her for the first time, I'd noticed in paparazzi photos how beautiful she was when she smiled. It was being spontaneous. I tried to capture this spontaneity when I photographed her. She had a remarkable smile, especially when she was happy. I loved her open-hearted smile. It was so natural.
His pictures are more than just portraits. They pay homage to feminine beauty. It's no wonder then that Demarchelier's photos have served to inspire others, like striptease artist Dieter von Teese.
There are images that I've remembered throughout the years and that have always inspired me, and I'm always a little surprised I'm being invited to these things at some point, because I just feel like I've been a fan of these images.
After working exclusively for Cosmopolitan and Marie Claire, Patrick Demarchelier is now working for American Vogue magazine.
With Patrick, I mean, his enthusiasm to shoot anyone and anything, so
there are not many people that will do that, you know, that are equally excited by photographing a great fashion picture or going to Washington and shooting a politician. So for us, he's a joy to work with because he's open and available and equally good at doing so many different things.
For New York-based Patrick Demarchelier, this event was more than just another gala. It was a chance to spend an evening with friends back in his hometown, Paris.
Well, now to a man who is in his element when he's surrounded by million-year-old stone. And that's because Ulrich Rückriem, who trained as a stonemason, grew to love these slabs so much that he morphed into the role of the artist. Well, today the Düsseldorf native is a major player on the international sculpture scene. And although they're hailed for their minimalism, his works are monolithic in character and now can be seen as he wants them to be in his own private museum near Cologne.
Granite, slate and marble. Massive, powerful, primal materials freed from the constraints of classic motifs. For 40 years, Ulrich Rückriem has been sculpting in stone. He's had more than 100 solo exhibitions, and his work has featured 3 times at the illustrious Documenta exhibition of contemporary art in Kassel. Rückriem's works are admired all over the world.
Quarrying, splitting, cutting, and polishing stone. That's what the stone industry does, and that's what I've taken as the theme of my work. It wasn't my plan, it just happened that way. When someone asks me what I find so fascinating about stone, I don't really know. I just did it spontaneously.
Ulrich Rückriem is a qualified stonemason. His sculptures weigh up to 4 tons and speak of the power and strength of stone. After working on them, he puts the parts back together just the way he found them. The material itself is his primary focus. Rückriem is considered the minimalist of the world of contemporary sculpture.
I stop where others begin. That's a very important statement. I want to design as little as possible. I leave design to the designers, or to people who want to glue content onto stone. I don't want to do anything. I just want stones in space.
The absence of design content is fascinating. In 1998, Rückriem won the Piepenbrock Award for sculpture. It has the largest purse of any sculpture award in Europe, 50,000 euros. At Zinnsteden Cultural Centre near Cologne, Rückriem has opened his own private museum, here too, freed from the constraints of the art world. This space provides the former art professor with room for his works. The volumes and material are in perfect relationship to the surroundings.
Again and again I've tried to withdraw into my own spaces, out of frustration that in museums or galleries my works may stand in an empty room during my exhibition, but then when it's over, they're put together with works by other artists which disturb the stillness of the room. Then my works no longer function. They no longer sound right. You can't experience them properly.
Ulrich Rückriem sees his sculpture halls in Zinnsteden, with their 32 works and 95 stones, as his artistic legacy. But the grounds of the museum are already showing signs of his next dream becoming reality. He recently moved to London to study English gardening.
I'd like to be able to lay out a park, with hedges and trees and paths, but no more sculptures. To have the park or garden itself be the sculpture.
At the age of 70, Rückriem says it's time to withdraw, but only to start over from the beginning.
Well, long past the beginning, Dutch farmer Jack Nijksens finds himself right in the middle of a mission to combat taste bud tedium. And he cultivates what he calls forgotten vegetables from the olden days. So if you're tired of potatoes and carrots, he suggests a little steamed bull's blood with butter, perhaps. Nijksens is turning people on to several hundred nearly extinct types of veggies at his historic garden near Limburg, and guests and gourmets alike are acquiring the taste.
Is it a witch's garden or a treasure trove? Long forgotten herbs, fruits and vegetables have found a refuge here. Rarities from around the world. A Dutchman has collected them, seed by seed.
It's like collecting stamps. I travelled all over Europe to different countries, Italy, England, Germany, to collect the seeds. Many belonged to private individuals. I know someone in southern Germany who has 70 kinds of potato, and someone else in Germany with 100 kinds of strawberry. And it's the same in Italy, in Switzerland, in England. There are several collectors, and I trade seeds with them.
Once a year, Nijskens invites top European cooks to his farm. This year, 13 teams make delicious dishes out of his unusual vegetables. It's only a few minutes from harvest to cooking pot. How fresh can you get? The selection is unique. 20 different kinds of cabbage grow here. This is Tuscan palm kale. It's the oldest cabbage of all. The ancient Romans loved it. After the center ridge is cut out of each leaf, it's finely chopped, then put in the pot of one of Belgium's leading chefs.
It's a flavor of a cabbage, but 2 times. It's very strong, and I like very much. Now we make with a risotto with white beans, and the cabbage is very well.
Meanwhile, the first guests arrive at the historical vegetable farm. 150 gourmets. Jack Nijskens explains the courses to come, but before anyone can eat, they listen to some vegetable lore. Red beets, white beets, yellow ones, and striped.
These people are all adventurers, flavor adventurers, flavor explorers. These are people who have fun eating these things and trying new flavors.
Old varieties of vegetables are popular at the moment, even with young people. Big attractions grow underground. This delicately flavored primeval root comes from Afghanistan, where they've been eating it for 2,500 years. Or take the parsnip, and of course the potato, of which there are about 5,000 varieties. And then a member of the sunflower family, the Jerusalem artichoke.
You have to eat it right after you pick it. If you cook it too long, it gets slimy and looks unappetizing. But you can eat it raw or bake with it. It really is a forgotten vegetable.
A cooking club from The Hague has made a potpourri of root vegetables in a huge terrine. Leeks, a puree of roots, broccoli and parsnips.
We're celebrating all these forgotten vegetables at this festival. They're not really forgotten, they're all here, blended together in this lovely dish. It's a wonderful occasion.
Parsnip sorbet for dessert. Jack Nijskens has found some new friends for his old vegetables, and the chefs have written a new chapter in flavor history.
Well, many of you may remember the first time you fastened one onto your wrist, a Swatch, that stylish little Swiss watch that we could even afford way back when as students. Well, this year the Swatch celebrates 25 years of time telling, and thanks to a winning combination of decent prices and daring design, it's still ticking. Here's more.
With close to 400 million watches sold in 4,000 different designs over the past 25 years, Swatch is a modern phenomenon. Pierre et Gilles, Vivienne Westwood, and Helmut Newton are among the creative talents to have come up with new designs. But the real force behind Swatch is founder Nicolas Hayek.
All people are creative. It's only society that kills creativity. Remember when you were 6 years old, how much creativity you had playing in the sand and believing in Santa Claus and building castles and horses and everything else. And when you tell people this, you get creativity around you everywhere.
It all began with this prototype, which revolutionized the traditional Swiss watch manufacturing industry. The Swatch was a plastic watch featuring high-quality technology and bold new styling. The Swatch has just 51 parts, about half as many as a traditional watch. It sold for just €30 and became an instant hit. Today, Swatches retail for around €60 and are sold in 114 countries. Today, it's hard to imagine life before Swatch. And for some people, Swatch isn't just a brand, it's a way of life. They meet up at special events and chat on the internet, constantly on the lookout for a rare design. Michael Wegeler is one of them.
Here we are in the Swatch store in Frankfurt, which is where I buy all the latest watches to add to my collection. This here is the new 007 villain collection, all named after villains in James Bond movies. I own several of them already. Jaws, Le Chiffre, Diamonds Are Forever, and Blofeld's cat.
Michael Wegeler began his collection in 1999. These days, barely an inch of his home is Swatch-free.
Welcome to my Swatch world.
Michael is obviously a man with an obsession.
Swatch is a brand you can identify with. It's a way of life, a part of life. There's a Swatch for every occasion. Whether you want to look trendy or serious, there's a right watch for everyone. These two watches are from the first collection in 1983. This one here is the thinnest Swatch in the world, and this is the thinnest chronograph in the world.
The skin chrono with stopwatch function is just a slither. It's 6,6 millimeters thin and sells for between 70 and €100.
These are the 4 Swatch specials designed by Keith Haring.
These artist-designed watches are highly sought after and the pride of every collector. Michael has more than earned his inclusion in the Select Swatch Club.
The Swatch community is like a family. We all attend events and get to know one another. It's a lot of fun.
One memorable event took place in 2006 when the Blue Man Group designed a Swatch live on stage. One of these limited edition watches is now exhibited at the Swatch Museum in Geneva. Its changing exhibitions chart the company's history and document the brand's inexorable rise to world fame.
So slowly, time goes by. So slowly, time goes by.
You don't even need a watch to enjoy this next service, and if I tell you the next report is about an Escort service, some of you will be raising an eyebrow. But this Escort service does beg to differ and invites you to discover the artistic side of Berlin. Art Escort is the brainchild of German writer Norbert Krohn, and if you want to spare yourself the effort of organizing a complicated visit to Berlin with guidebooks and the like, you can hire one of a group of writers, artists or musicians to give you a tailor-made tour.
The fashionable district of Mitte is home to more museums and galleries than any other neighborhood in the capital, and it can be hard to figure out where to start. Norbert Krohn is a writer, but also helps visitors get their bearings in this city's labyrinthian arts and culture landscape. He calls himself an art escort, and his services cost up to €100 an hour.
It's something a lot of artists do. They have expertise in a certain field, and they're in a good position to give a very individual angle on the art scene they themselves know inside out.
Norbert Krohn's customer today is Jutta Bennecke, a real estate agent from Berlin, who was given the tour as a gift from friends. She's keen to get a behind-the-scenes glimpse of the legendary Berlin art scene.
It might inspire me to learn more about certain things by myself. I might find out something that makes me want to look into particular areas in greater depth.
This gallery is currently hosting an exhibition of work by Toni Wertmüller. He's taught at a number of international art schools, so he has plenty of experience explaining what his work is all about. And who better to guide the public through the art on show than the artist himself? Toni Wertmüller can also be hired as an escort artist. He feels there's definitely a very personal element to the job, just as there is for the traditional escort.
What gives it all a bit of a frisson, as one might call it, is that the customer might, in the course of the day, end up buying something. They might end up falling in love with a painting or two.
Time for a picture, a souvenir of the day. Norbert first thought up the art escort idea while working on his latest novel, a story about a penniless journalist who works for an escort service.
It's a parable of our times. It's about the many people who work in arts and culture who have to sell themselves a little, metaphorically speaking, and the hero also does it literally.
The last port of call is the Solar Lounge, overlooking the city's rooftops. Time for Norbert Kohn to put on his writer's hat as he signs Juta's photo with a personalized note. Another day, another satisfied customer.
Well, that brings us to the end, but don't forget you can find our highlights on YouTube. And until we meet again, take good care. Auf Wiedersehen und tschüss.